Formed in 1976, U2 is an iconic Irish rock band known for their anthemic sound and socially conscious lyrics. Fronted by Bono, they've sold over 150 million records and won 22 Grammys, making them one of the most influential bands in rock history. On this Tearless Tuesday episode of No Time to Rock, U2. I am a big U2 fan. I like pretty much everything they've done, at least to one degree or another. I got into the band when War came out in 1983, probably didn't buy the cassette until 84. By then I'd finally seen enough U2 videos on MTV that I thought, I think this is something I want to get into. It didn't take me too long to go back and discover the past discography, which wasn't very deep at the time. It was 2 albums. Now the way I'm breaking this tier list down, A, B, C, D, and non-essential. You'll see what non-essential is when we get there, or if you're a U2 hater, I guess you'd probably put them all there. U2's first full-length album was Boy, which made its way to the world in 1980. Boy's a pretty good album. It's decidedly post-punk. At this point in time, the band had more in common with Echo and the Bunnymen than the Rolling Stones. Every song on Boy is pretty good. There were singles released, which got a little bit of attention in Europe. A Day Without Me, I Will Follow. Every song on Boy is a pretty good song. My issue with Boy as a whole is that every song really kind of sort of sounds the same. So at the end of the day, in the grand scheme of things, as I'm ranking them, it's a C. It's a good U2 album. I don't really think there are any bad U2 albums, but it's a good U2 album, so it's a B. I'm going to say the same thing about October, which to me really feels like Boy Part 2. It was released a year later. It almost feels to me like this was some of the songs that they weren't able to squeeze on Boy. Although there are good songs on the album. Fire's on here. The studio cut of Gloria is on this album. It's a good album. It's not a great U2 album. Now we're at 1983 and the release of War, which MTV loved. The band also did some breaking through to rock radio at this point with this release. It's also deserved, as War is, in my opinion, a very good, not just a classic, very good U2 album, but a classic rock album. War knocked Michael Jackson's Thriller off the top of the UK album chart. It was a big deal. It broke through. It was noticeably more political too, which probably had a lot to do with why it did break through. It was a lot more about something than maybe the previous 2 albums were. Recorded at the Red Rocks Amphitheater in Colorado, an amazing place to see a concert. This was also released on video, Under a Blood Red Sky. This is one of the best live albums of all time. I don't think we're going to argue about this, but their live cut of I Will Follow is just amazing. Party Girl, this was the first time Party Girl was on anything. And wow, it's a great song. 1984's The Unforgettable Fire, recorded at Slane Castle. Having Brian Eno and Daniel Lanois involved in the production of this album, well, it's going to be a little more artsy and a little more fartsy. The band ventures into a more ethereal territory, more of an artistic approach to what they were doing. Me personally, loved this album, and not everyone thinks this album would belong on the A tier, but I do. While we waited on U2 to figure out what they were going to do next, the EP Wide Awake in America was released. I got this the day that it came out and went over to some friend's house. I bought this. I also bought Jeff Beck's Flash, I think was the name of this album. And they didn't have any music to listen to in their house. So we listened to this and Jeff Beck Flash about 1 million times, which was really easy to do because Flash is not that long of a Jeff Beck album. And this is only 4 songs. And Wide Awake in America has the peculiar distinction of debuting pretty high on the album chart. And then the guys at Billboard said, wait a minute, no, that's an EP. That doesn't count. So off the chart you go. It debuted at number 37. And then the very next week, gone. The live version of Bad was sort of the standout track here. Three Sunrises got some airplay on rock radio. It's good. The studio tracks are not their best studio tracks, though. So it's good. I think you know where we're going to go here. The Joshua Tree in 1987. And all of a sudden, U2 is arguably the biggest rock band in the world. This album won Grammys. It had #1 singles. It is frequently listed among the greatest albums of all time. The hit singles are very well known. Where the Streets Have No Name, I still haven't found what I'm looking for. With and Within something, with it. Yeah, Joshua Tree. That is a classic. It's also a very good album. I listened to this a lot in 1987, probably still a lot in 1988. Speaking of 1988, we got Rattle and Hum, which was unexpected in its musical direction. This was, there was an album version and there was the film, and the musical selections were both a little bit different as far as what was released on the CD and the album and the music that was in the film. I remember my girlfriend and I at the time, we saw this movie in the theater and she loved it. And I really just sort of didn't get it. And I think she was really disappointed that I didn't like that movie. Yeah, we weren't together a whole lot longer after that. Anyway, Rattle and Hum did do fairly well. It was met with some skepticism and some, what are you guys doing? You know, Desire was a big sort of yelling and screaming kind of song. Angel of Harlem was a tribute to Billie Holiday. And I'm like, well, this isn't very alternative. It took a while for this to grow on me. Although All I Want Is You, I thought that was the best song in the album, and it really didn't get much traction as far as the video and as far as radio airplay or MTV or any of that. So where am I going to put you? I'm at Rattle and Hum. I'm going to put you here. At the end of the day, I've come to feel like you're good, but not anything special. As we get into the 90s, holy moly, did we get into the 90s and did U2 bring it? They brought it a lot, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you they brought it really, really well every time they brought it in the 90s, but Achtung Baby. Oh, baby. I loved that album, and I listened to it a lot, and it was noticeably different. It was very different than any album they had done previously. It was another massive change in direction from what they did with Rattle and Hum. The album had several big hits. The Fly was a cool song. Mysterious Ways, obviously, you probably still hear on your classic rock radio station if you listen to classic rock. One is one of those iconic songs that's been covered a million times. Even better than The Real Thing, Who's Gonna Ride Your Wild Horses. It is a monumental U2 album. Achtung Baby is a classic. It's not just a great U2 album, it is a great album. And then came Zooropa. It was different. It was not a clone of Achtung Baby, which I suppose is a good thing. I'd say it was a good album, and there are some good songs. Numb was really different. I remember the first time I heard that, and I'm like, so the Edge is doing vocals. Lemon was kind of dancey, and Lemon had this sort of electronic dancey feel to it. So I liked the song because it was a U2 song, but overall, I kind of feel like this album goes right there. It's still a pretty good album. It's listenable, I would say, to this day still. But if I'm looking for a U2 album to listen to, I'm probably not going to pick that one. Melon remixes for Propaganda. U2 had a fanzine at the time called Propaganda. If you subscribed, you got this. It was something for you to enjoy. I didn't subscribe, but I worked in radio, so it was real easy for me to get stuff like that. People would send me stuff like that, but I kind of honestly just wish they hadn't sent me this. Starting with Zooropa especially, they made rock that you could dance to. And I thought that was just fine. I didn't really care that much for U2 to make dance music, per se. To me, this is around the area where U2 decided we can do anything. So that's why Melon, the remix album, is there. Original Soundtracks 1, the album that U2 recorded as Passengers. Very electronic, very experimental. But finally, they recorded a song with Luciano Pavarotti, which the world had been waiting for years and years and years. I listened to it one time. It's the first album that goes in the non-essential category. It's for completists, in my opinion. The next album was 1997's Pop. The first single was Discotheque, which was, again, another really electronic. There were other songs that were good U2 songs. There were not any great U2 songs on this album. None, not any. This was the first and only time I ever saw U2 in concert, was the Pop Mart tour. I saw them in the Kingdome in Seattle, and Smash Mouth opened for them. And Smash Mouth did not deserve to be on the stage. And I'm not a Smash Mouth hater, but somehow they looked very small and sounded smaller. Ew. That's kind of mean. The PopMart EP, the PopHeart Live EP, which featured a live version of Please, which had not yet been released as a single. Live cuts here, well, it's Please and Where the Streets Have No Name and Staring at the Sun and With or Without You. It's okay. I'm not gonna say it's bad. It's not bad, but it goes there. The best of 1980 through 1990 contained The Sweetest Thing. This was a remix, I do believe, of The Sweetest Thing, which was originally a Joshua Tree B-side. It was a With or Without You B-side, if I remember correctly. It was released as a single. It got a little bit of traction at radio here and there. The track selection mostly features short versions of a lot of the songs, edits, the short version of Where the Streets Have No Name, which just kind of fades in and just gets going. It's more or less sequential, although I Will Follow is basically the only song. I think October was a hidden track from the first two albums, so it's very War, Unforgettable Fire, Joshua Tree. It's a little too Rattle and Hum heavy, in my opinion. It's also, in my opinion, not an essential part of a U2 collection. If you really want to have all things U2 in your collection, single cut of Sweetest Thing, then I guess that's okay. Here's a record that underwhelmed me at the time of its release in the year 2000. A lot of people were just like, "Oh my God, it's a career album. They've reinvented themselves and yada 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 yada." All That You Can't Leave Behind, to me at the time, I just didn't care that much. But I have gone back and revisited it a little bit over time, and there are some really good songs on it. It's a rock album. I don't know if I want to say I think they decided to get away from being so experimental for this album. So at the end of the day, it's the first. They didn't get a B until the 2000s. Wow, that's crazy. Now here's where we begin doing targeted, exclusive releases. I don't know if this was the first one that ever happened in the 21st century or ever, but this was only available at Target stores. So it picked up some B-sides and some remixes of things that were left over from All That You Can't Leave Behind. Big Girls Are Best is on here, and Summer Rain, which is a good song, and Always. The songs are good songs. They would have just made the All That You Can't Leave Behind album too long and maybe with some extra two similar kind of songs on it. But 7 is good. Man, I'm really stuck in this groove here. I did not know it was going to go this way. I'm really winging this, to be honest with you. Best of 1990 through 2000. So this is going to be pretty Achtung Baby heavy. Zooropa pop. I mean, it's some of these are remixes and edits, so you get slightly different versions. The version of the album that came with B-sides had extra stuff on it. Some of the stuff that was included on 7. But again, I'm going to say that this it's not essential. Electrical Storm was kind of a neat single. It was a new song that found its way onto that album. 2004's How to Dismantle an Atomic Bomb. I listened to this album a lot, and I thought this album just flat out rocked. And you know what? I still do. So I'm going to put it up there. If I'm going to pull a U2 album off the shelf, so to speak, and listen to it, there's a good possibility that it would be that album. The album was just packed. It was not as well received as All That You Can't Leave Behind, but A Man and a Woman, Crumbs from Your Table, All Because of You. That's a banger, people. That song's a banger. And Vertigo's a good song. And Miracle Drug's a good song. I don't understand why that album did not get the kind of love that I thought it deserved. They were on Saturday Night Live when this came out. The Complete U2. Now here's another thing that they did which was unique. It was not exclusive to any one particular retailer. This was exclusive on the iTunes store. The Complete U2. It had all the albums, all the singles, live, rare, previously unreleased material up to 2004. 446 songs. 446 songs is a lot. I appreciate the effort, but I don't really feel like it brought anything necessarily special or new to the table. So it's just kind of going to go there. Another iTunes exclusive, the digital EP, Live from Under the Brooklyn Bridge. 4 songs. That's an EP. All Because of You, which rocks, so it gets points for that. There's a live cut of I Will Follow. That's the sort of rare old song that's on here. The entire concert was 12 or 13 songs, something like that. These were the 4 they picked for the EP. It's not bad. I think, I mean, I'll put it there because the 4 songs they picked are good songs for U2 to do live. U2.communication. Here's another live album. They released it exclusively to people who are members of the U2.com website. I'm going to be honest with you, it's okay. At this point, I kind of feel like U2 is just sort of in love with keeping their name out there. They weren't getting on MTV as much. They weren't getting on radio as much. So at this point, it's just keep putting stuff out. And if you're a diehard U2 fan, well, you gotta love the fan service, right? I mean, it's not like they keep you waiting forever. But you see where I put it. Zoo TV Live. So here's what's weird about this. There was a DVD of this. Zoo TV Live from Sydney. This was originally released on a DVD and VHS in like 1997 or 1998. And here we go several years later. If you were an existing subscribing member of U2.com, you could get Zoo TV Live. 25 tracks, the audio of the show. So that was kind of cool. Zoo TV was a tour from like 1993 when they were touring, when the material was Achtung Baby and Zooropa. Really good time to see the band. If you really need to have more live U2, okay, there you go. From 2006, the U2 18 Singles Collection. 16 very well-known songs and 2 new tracks. The Saints Are Marching, that they co-recorded with Green Day. The Saints Are Coming, I should say. And Window in the Skies was a new song that was put on here for that. So those 2 cuts right there, I thought the song with Green Day was a lot of fun. And Window in the Skies, I think, was a pretty good song too. So here you go. Here's another C. It's really starting to look like I'm really starting to wonder why I think U2 is one of my favorite bands. So here's another thing that was on the iTunes store that maybe you've missed it if you were never an iTunes person. Live from Paris. This was recorded on July 4th of 87 when they were touring the Joshua Tree. It's got a lot of stuff on it. So it's I think it's an above average live recording. I think this is a band that would really found a lot of confidence with the success of the Joshua Tree. So here we go. If you were a member of U2.com, this was for you. Medium Rare and Remastered. This contained a lot of stuff that was, some of which you could find before. Some of these are remixes, some of these are B-sides, and some remastered recordings of various things, especially if you had the double album version of this. Some neat stuff on here. I'm going to say that it's good. It's worth having. No Line on the Horizon from February of 2009. I remember that very well. And I remember liking this album a lot. Although here's the funny thing. I don't really think Get on Your Boots is a particularly good song. I'm not sure if I think I'll Go Crazy If I Don't Go Crazy Tonight is a particularly good song. I like Magnificent a lot. This somehow is a really good album that doesn't have any, oh man, I messed that up. Ooh, I don't know how I'm going to fix that. This is a really good album that doesn't have any particularly outstanding songs on it. That's kind of how I feel about this album. I listen to it a lot. I would possibly pull it off shelf and listen to it all the way through again if I were like, I want to listen to a U2 album. And then we were treated to a dancey remix album, the Trent Reznor remix of Vertigo. I guess which is kind of cool. I'm not sure I think U2 and Trent Reznor belong on the same thing. Just my opinion. And I like Trent Reznor. I like 9 Inch Nails a lot, actually. But that is non-essential. This was released on a DVD and probably still a VHS tape and CD in late 2009, the 360-degree world tour. It was touring No Line on the Horizon. Actually, I think it was released in 2010. And it is a pretty good live recording. I'm going to have to start making some things. I'm going to have to change some things, it looks like here, because I've got way too much stuff that is average U2, and there's still a few things to go. Wide Awake in Europe was released in 2010, and that's a hard thing to find. That was a Record Store Day thing. They only printed 5,000 copies of that. It does feature the debut of the song Mercy, which you can find on other things since. So, all in all, I'm not really sure that that's something you gotta have. Duels came out in 2011, and songs where they collaborated with other artists, like Johnny Cash, Mary J. Blige, Willie Nelson, Green Day. It put all that on one thing. All right, I'll say that it was kind of good, and we'll leave it at that. U22, U22, a 22-track live compilation from the U2 360 tour. Okay, so more music from that show in 2009. This kind of mixes and matches a lot of different performances from a lot of different shows. This was only available to U2.com subscribers. And for that reason alone, screw you, U2. Songs of Innocence from 2014. Remember when you opened up your phone and went to iTunes and you were like, hey, I got the new U2 album. For me, that's what it was like. It was like, hey, I got the new U2 album. For a lot of people, it was like, why the F do I have the new U2 album? It was eventually released in brick and mortar stores. The controversy subsided. And was the album actually any good? Depends on who you ask. There are some songs on it that are really good. The Miracle, Joy Ramone, Every Breaking Wave. Song for Someone. Raised by Wolves is on here. Cedarwood Road. Sleep Like a Baby Tonight. This album has its moments. It is a B. It is a pretty good U2 album, in my opinion. And spoiler alert, I think it's their last pretty good album. Innocence and Experience live in Paris. This was a DVD Blu-ray and a digital download that was released in 2016. The show aired on HBO just a few hours after it had happened. So that was kind of unique. That's kind of a U2 thing to do, isn't it? So, you get to do another row. I didn't realize that. Okay, well, that's okay. So here we go. We get to 2017, I think, and Songs of Experience, which had several singles. My favorite song on this album really got probably the least amount of attention, really. I thought The Blackout was probably the best song on the album. This had Get Out of Your Own Way on it. You're the Best Thing About Me. I thought The Blackout was just a jam. I thought Songs of Experience was pretty good. And finally, we get to Songs of Surrender. I have a theory about Songs of Surrender. I think this album has yet to be recorded. It'll be recorded in the year 2045 or maybe 2050. Because when I listened to this, I thought to myself, this sounds like something that U2 would do if they were like in a rest home. I think this album was recorded in the future and sent back through time so that U2 would sell more albums at Starbucks. I don't hate this. I don't think it's terrible. To me, U2 is a band about passion, energy. Everything's an anthem, even the mellow stuff. So why? I'm sure a lot of U2 fans like this. I'm not really one of them, so there you go. That's it. We made it. If it looks like I'm sweating a lot, it's because I'm dreading all the editing I'm going to have to do on this. A lot of uhs to take out. I publish videos every Tuesday and every Friday, and a lot of times in varying days in between. So, like, subscribe, comment, that whole thing. And whatever you do, however you do it, don't you ever stop rocking.